this is yet another fucking Fabian Syndicalist.
But this time it's from Florida.
Fabian Syndicalist in this community has turned into a situation where, like, it's no longer one person. It can't be, because they're sending it from so many different places.
As capital.
Dear Mr. Piker, I dare you to read aloud this entire message without interruption on stream in your natural voice. No. You fucking psycho, dude. Oh, he's saying you revealed the address. No, I blurted out, dummy. I was greatly displeased to discover that during your stream on December 17th, you opened the parcel that I sent you without reading almost any of its contents, except a few titles and headlines. Contrary to your braggadocious, dismissive, dishonest, and half-wit ululations and vituperations, it did not cost me much to print and send you those materials. Not that that diversionary quibble even enters into the matter at hand. And the parcel contained far more than just articles, which themselves often refer to empirical and experimental research. It contained plenty of hard, proper, and sustained pieces of scientific evidence that redound to the exhibition of a strong correlation before you go off on a predictable tangent. No, correlation does not necessarily mean causation, but it does not necessarily not mean causation either. Very often in experimental science and medicine, all we have is correlative evidence before the extremely hard work of establishing causation can even be fathomed, as the grim tales of tobacco and thalidomide attest. Between the cannabis use and irreversible mental illness, violence, criminality, and even acts deemed to be terroristic in nature, thankfully the address that I chose with the parcel and that you partially blurted out on air was random and fake. Nevertheless, you really ought not to reveal any details about the addresses, whether authentic or fake, of the people who sent you mail. It is a gross breach of confidentiality, propriety, and common comity, let alone, in all likelihood, Twitch's internal rules. You ought not to apologize to anyone else whom you've done the same. You ought to apologize to anyone else whom you have done the same thing. I repeat, too, that I am not joking or trolling, in air quotes, in the slightest. My own sister was maddened and wrecked by cannabis use. My stepbrother is having similar problems right this moment. I have a personal stake in this affair. Before you robotically splutter, that is anecdotal evidence. Please understand that I have coupled anecdotal evidence and case studies with a large and, in fact, swelling body of empirical evidence. It is always with the greatest solemnity and earnest that I deal with the cannabis question. You come to the point if you believe that you have an open mind. Then you will need to prove it by reading the documents, including the articles published in Daily Mail, which, believe it or not, sometimes does actually do good journalism. Debatable. Certainly, the contents of the articles matter much more than the merits and demerits of publications themselves, right? But I send you and unbanning me so we can have a fair, fruitful, and cool-headed discourse on a subject of preeminent social and political significance, including aspects thereof that you never even considered during the original stream, although I did raise many of them in the chat messages that you did not read before impetuously banning me. Many people, especially of a young age, watch your programming and need to know that there are grave perils inherent in using cannabis, which is neither soft nor safe. You yourself conceded during the original stream that young people in particular can suffer immensely from the use of cannabis, and some chatters claiming to be as young as 14 years old wrote that they use cannabis often, some even daily. You have a responsibility to examine these issues more thoroughly and thoughtfully, and without mockery and blatant anti-intellectualism, responding to dissentient views with raillery, persiflage, indignation, profanity, and wrath tends, in my experience, to betray one's own unexpressed innermost doubts about the validity and morality of one's position. Bro, there is nothing. Like, you being this person, and I'm almost done with this, but you being this person is perhaps the greatest example of why weed is good, okay? Just chill the fuck out. Just smoke a fat blunt and chill the fuck out, brother. Like, goddamn. Okay. Let's continue. Without a serious counter-argument on your part or on the part of pro-cannabis campaigners and the legions of pitiable pawns and dupes, it remains well nigh incontrovertible to me that the balance of empirical evidence tilts overwhelmingly and increasingly on the side of the opponents of cannabis use and legalization and against the proponents and the slick billionaire lobby behind them. I defy you, though, to show me and my argument up for being incorrect. If the case in favor of cannabis legalization is so obvious and settled, then it should not be hard for you to put forward a complete rebuttal, something that I await in appreciable anticipation. I still heartily commend you to the books Henry's Demons Living with Schizophrenia, A Father and Son Story, by the distinguished and avowedly left-leaning foreign correspondent Patrick Cockburn. Lol, his last name is Cockburn. And his poor son Henry Cockburn, pronounced Coburn, by the way. Oops. Tell your children the truth about marijuana, mental illness, and violence by the longtime New York Times reporter and author Alex Berenson, who is a COVID denier, recently on Joe Rogan. And the war we never fought by the accomplished reactionary columnist and writer Peter Hitchens. I mean, you admit that he's a reactionary. You can find them fairly easily online or at bookstores. Read them first without fear or favor, without prejudice or preconceptions, before lurching to a conclusion. Surely their authors are not so evil as to be discontinued from the debate on cannabis. I have many disagreements with them, especially on topics having nothing to do with drugs, but the investigation that they have done in almost every dimension of the cannabis question is one of the highest quality and credibility. Yours faithfully and expectantly, the Fabian Syndicalist. No. I do kind of want to unban him, though. He is very entertaining. He's a fun writer. Okay.